Avid is for the media creators, whether these are enterprises or individual creators, music creators, post-production, news, broadcasts. It's all about creativity. It's about storytellers. That's what Avid is about.
Well, let's get right to the exciting part first. What's the new stuff here at NAB?
I'll start with some of the announcements that we've made around the news and broadcast side. We acquired WolfTech. This was acknowledging the fact that there's a change in the way news is done, how news is consumed, and even basically social media-based publishing, digital publishing is where WolfTech specializes in. So augmenting what we were doing for enterprises with a digital news publishing solution, that's actually the number one thing. The other thing that we just announced just before NAB was a partnership with a company called Cutting Room for web-based editing. So the web-based editing right now, again, will be used for news, but you can just imagine how that becomes another creative tool that becomes easily available for a lot of different users to as a web browser-based tool. So those are two of the major announcements on the. Yeah.
But Media Composer is an editor. Why would you want Cutting Room?
So two different reasons. Media Composer, ProTools, they will always remain the extremely rich creators tool. What we're talking about, web editing, doesn't replace that. It is about the fast turnaround workflows. It's about the web edits that, or simple creative cuts. But what you'll see is that it's accessibility of a browser-based editor as well. I think these are some of the big reasons why a web editor complements what you actually do with a rich editor like a Media Composer.
Well, I interrupted because you were about to tell me about other news announcements.
Yeah, other areas that we're focused on. There was an announcement around our tools becoming, especially the editorial tools and storage, actually becoming available on AWS as well. So that was another part of our announcements. On the booth, what you'll also see are a whole bunch of other creative tool additions to Media Composer and Pro Tools. Both of them basically around, first of all, the interop story is something that we announced some time ago. That continues to be enhanced. So it's been a while that basically working between Pro Tools and Media Composer made a lot more seamless. That's definitely more enhancements have come in over there. But then there's also, I'll call it the API story. But from a creator's point of view, APIs don't matter. What matters is the augmentation, that the new tools that they get, which they were never able to get. And that's same on Pro Tools and Media Composer. AI is just technology, but exposed directly in the tool set is where it matters. So, and creating efficiency, and people like to say automate the mundane. That's great, but how? Which parts? A lot of the manual work that's being done, those are the tools that we're actually showing in Pro Tools Media Composer as well.
Which gets me to AI itself. AI has a number of different ways of being implemented. Let's look at Media Composer first. How are you implementing AI in Media Composer?
In Media Composer, we first started with speech-to-text indexing, because what we found was there are so many things you can do, so many features, so much time savings and creative tools that come out of it. Just as an example, doing text-based editing, you could do that with our phonetic indexing-based tools before. Now this is mixed language-based editing. Search was possible. Automated captions become possible. So those are the tools that have been enhanced a lot more in Media Composer. But through the APIs that we've exposed, it goes way much further. We have plugin vendors like Quickture, which now suddenly you can describe what you want as key moments, the key beats, right? And what it's giving you is suggestions of the edits. And that's key. The creative is in control. The suggestions come in, you can tweak it afterwards, but the time savings are huge. And there are many other plugin tools I can describe to you for Pro Tools and Media Composer that actually really work with individual creatives.
Well, let's look at Pro Tools. How are you implementing AI there?
Actually, similar. So part of what we did with speech to text is that it's an example of what we call Avid ADA. Avid ADA is, think of it as your creative assistant, right? Responsible AI also tells us we should be declaring where AI is being used. That's one way we do it, that this is powered by Avid ADA versus something that you can do manually. So so Avid ADA is also showing up in Pro Tools. It's the same speech to text engine, but used differently because the persona is different. So of course you can do searches based on mixed language searches, just like you can do in Media Composer. But then you also get a timeline display with respect to the waveforms. So now imagine you just editing dialogue and you have both the waveform and the text, and you're actually editing parts of it out, the waveforms, and then replacing it.
The AI that you're using, is that training on our data, and is that then used to upgrade your data?
Not at all. This is something that we started off first. And in fact, each time we give a talk on AI, we start with responsible AI. Whether it's an individual creative or enterprises, everybody's rights needs to be managed. So it's all clean data that it's being trained on, and also there is none of everything is some of the Pro Tools and Media Composer AI features are actually running locally. It's not even going externally. Some of the plugin vendors will be sending it, but we also vet them for responsible AI, and also just making sure that there is nothing being trained based on that. There's indexing going on, but that's all. There's no training going on.
One of the challenges you have is trying to figure out where the future is taking us. What trends are you watching that we need to pay attention to?
Again, AI, definitely, right? And the trends primarily there are, again, about automation, right? But automation, but without taking the creativity away. And I mentioned Quickture, but I'll just give you a few more examples where the trends are actually showing us that we can start speeding up other workflows and things that were completely impossible to start doing that too. On the Pro Tools side, I'll mention a couple of other plugins that I really love, which is you can do things like voice generation with Respeecher, and now another one of those responsible rights on, like once you have the rights to the voice, then you can generate some of those type of the dialogue. Then there are ADR tools coming in just Pro Tools as well. But even better, now what we're seeing is that you can actually, there's another plugin called Flawless in Media Composer, where you can now, if you had foreign language dubs, you can start lip syncing. And this is all becoming democratized. Basically, what used to take a lot of time is what's becoming shorter in time. Now, here's the thing. You asked about what's the trend. What does it show? It means there's more content to be produced. One of the studies I'd done showed that there's content increasing almost 7% year over year. Most of that, by the way, is coming from the streaming market, right? That's where it's going, a lot of the streaming. But this is professional produced content. So the outlets may be different, so that's one of the trends. But all that some of the artificial intelligence tools are doing is shortening the time so you can produce more. And that's our hope, that we keep producing more. There are more jobs here than anything else.
One of the things you were promoting before NAB started was next level post-production. What does that term mean?
Next level post-production, again, democratization of the tools. And next level post-production also just means that the tools are accessible, your data is accessible from anywhere. Collaboration is the next level post-production as well. So just to give you an example, our storage, the Nexus, so we have basically a remote mode. So you can now just make sure that you can access, if you put content on the cloud, you don't just have to just have VMs basically starting up. You can have your regular Media Composer, or for that matter, any other editor or any other software, just mount your Nexus client and access that content remotely. So the next level is really about enabling more and more collaboration from multiple locations.
For people that have not yet experienced Avid, what are the key points you want them to know?
Avid is catering to the professionals. but it doesn't mean that starting users cannot use it. When you really need your content to be professionally produced, that's where the reliability comes in. And anecdotally, a lot of people talk about, oh well, short form, long form. I can tell you. I'm an architect. I'm an engineer, and I came into Avid, having developed another competing software. The first thing I looked at in Media Composer is like, now I know why it does long form, because some of the data structures, everything is so optimized for the long form content. It's basically a workhorse. It's stable, reliable, but at the same time, the creativity that you can express in that tool is immense. And that's what people need. They need lots and lots of choices. And if we cannot provide it, the APIs are opening up all these other tools providers to plug in. So that's really what I think Avid is about right now, the choice and the flexibility.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.